No more wheels from here.
All right, guess I'm walking then.
Yo. Check it out.
What? And this is?
From Morrison. I think it's his manifesto.
Welcome to New Gameplay Today. Jeff Cork's not here. I'm Leo Vader. Instead, Jeff Cork's out at Gamescom with Suriel Vasquez, who played Devil May Cry 5. And here to talk about his gameplay experience with me is Joe Juba.
Hello! I can't wait to share my impressions of Suriel's gameplay experience with Devil May Cry 5.
You are the biggest Devil May Cry fan currently in the office.
I think that's probably true, yes.
So are you jealous of Suriel for what he's done here?
I really am, actually. I love this series, and I'm excited to sort of see how they're changing it, but also how they're staying the same a little bit too,
and yet bringing it back
sense.
to its roots.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so like a lot of people, I actually enjoyed the Ninja Theories DMC game, which was between Devil May Cry 4 and this one, but it rubbed some people the wrong way. And, you know, it has a different combat style. This one seems like it's definitely going back, like, you know, building on the foundation of Devil May Cry 4.
And what is that to you? What does that mean?
Boy, that's tricky. I think that it has to do, part of it's just a sort of like the tactile sort of feeling of the gameplay, right?
Sure.
And a certain set of moves and things. So, like, if you were to look at DMC, the Ninja Theory one, that one had a lot more focus on, like the environment was a big focus and going into limbo and things like that.
Right.
Alternating between your sort of light and dark weapons. And this seems to be focused a little more on the sort of bread and butter, swords and guns combat approach.
And combo building.
Yeah. But
course.
and in this case, though, I think it's also important to note that we are looking at one of 3 playable characters in this game.
That's right. This is Nero. There's also Dante. Am I doing good so far?
Yep. And then there are rumors swirling around about the third one, but right now there's no confirmed, like, who is what is the third one's name? What is that person all about? Etc.
What's your fan theory?
Well, it seems like his name is V, or that's how he's referred to.
Okay. From V for Vendetta.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the same character. You're right on there, Leo.
Got it.
No, so like that's what some, you know, things seem to point to, but I don't know that Capcom has come straight out and said, like, you know, this is what that character's name is and this is what that character's combat style is. But,
Sure.
But we did see, and we don't see it in the footage here, but in the new trailer for DMC5, they revealed that Dante is for sure playable, which again, I mean, we knew, but they showed a little bit of combat with Dante. At which point he fights with a motorcycle. Did you see this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like his motorcycle is a weapon. So I'm on board with that. Just to give you a sense of how different gameplay styles might be.
Right.
And as a side note, if you don't know the series, motorcycles are not a bread and butter weapon that you're
Nor are
used to
they in
using.
most series.
No, exactly.
So the other new thing about the combat is the way your robot arms work, right?
Yeah, so Nero in Devil May Cry 4 had his arm was called the Devil Bringer, and it was this weird sort of possessed phantom arm that would like bring things toward him. But then you could also grab enemies with it and like slam them around. He doesn't have that anymore. Instead, he has a robot arm,
Right.
that they call the Devil Breaker. And while it seems like he still has that ability to like draw enemies toward him, but it has these other like offensive capabilities beyond just like the grab and throw that the Devil Bringer had.
And they're limited as a resource. You have to find them in the level.
It seems like, but like that's to an extent. So like what we'll see Suriel doing here is that like whenever there's a little, well, now we switch to this like aerial agility one, but it seems like you can use it to some degree without depleting, like a single press.
Right.
But if you charge it up or detonate it, then it expends one of them that you have in your inventory.
But otherwise it lasts forever?
It seems like you can... I think that if you get interrupted while you're using it, that can also break it, so you can't just like spam it all the time. You have to be a little conscious of your surroundings for it.
Sure.
But it doesn't seem like you're going to be going through them like candy and just like running out of them all the time. Though I do love the fact, as we're seeing right now, that when you do run out of them, you just straight up don't have an arm.
Yeah, that's a good touch.
So, yeah. Anyway, but Nero's using his that sword is familiar. That's the Red Queen. The gun that he's using is I think it's Blue Rose. What's the name of it?
I believe you.
Yeah, why not? So, oh yeah. So this screen here, real quick, talks about detonating your Devil Breaker.
And when do you want to do that?
I don't know exactly. Let's ask Suriel.
Oh.
Dang it. No,
He's
so
on the other side of the world.
So he just used that electric move, but it didn't consume one of his things.
Right.
So you do have some sort of, capability without burning through them.
But that was him detonating it.
It looked like it. Yep.
Looks like it.
Oh yeah.
The other thing Suriel mentioned in his preview, which is available on GameInformer.com if you want to read more about what he thought of this demo, is that as the grade went up on the right there for his combo, new layers of music were being added.
Yeah. So it seems like the better you play, the more awesome the music gets.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm okay with that. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly they're going to handle the different playable characters too, because if you played Devil May Cry 4 or the special edition of that, which had added Lady and Trish and Virgil to DMC4, certain characters are designated for certain missions. So it's not like you could play Mission 1 as Nero and then play Mission 1 as Dante. Now that's how they handled it before. But so in this new one, I don't know if you're if characters are bound to certain certain story missions, or if you can sort of bring anyone anywhere.
Yeah,
So-
certain campaigns like Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, okay. Though they still are going with that whole doorway blocked by a weird red light.
Yeah.
Which I guess when you talk about that is something that feels very PS2 era when
Definitely.
when this game was introduced, or this series.
It fits very well as a game mechanic, this thing that's happening in the world.
Yeah.
Curious.
Again, and that's not necessarily to criticize either. It's just sort of it's a purely, almost just a purely cosmetic thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a way of saying, hey, you can't go through here. But I don't know, maybe have a big door collapse or something, or a rock collapse or something.
Every time.
I don't know. It just, I've had my fill of those red blocking walls.
Sure. What do you think of the closer camera angle in general?
I don't know. That's something that it's hard, as someone who's watching it right now, it seems fine. It's something that without playing, it's hard to get a more definite sense of whether or not I think that's a good move. Right now, personally, my biggest reservation about it is the idea of going with a limited ammo sort of approach for your arm, even if you're not burning through the ammo constantly. The idea of in my mind, these games are about the stylish sort of character action, whether it's Devil May Cry or Bayonetta or I don't know, even something like God of War to a degree. It's not about resource management. I don't like to think about how many of a thing I have left. I prefer to sort of feel like you're always a badass, and it's just sort of the different ballet of combat that you're sort of stringing together.
Sure.
It seems like this still has that element there, but it seems like it would throw a wrench in the gear if you have to just consider this sort of limited resource. But again, without playing it, it's hard to say for sure whether that is sort of a help or a hindrance, because it could add, if enemies can break those things depending on when you execute a move, it could actually add a layer to strategy to your combos that wasn't there before too. So
Also, it's still a mystery what kind of combat layer Dante might have, since he presumably does not have one arm missing. But I'm curious if they replace that with something else.
Yeah.
A different kind of mechanic.
considering how closely Nero is sticking to his sort of apparently sticking to his like DMC4 approach. I would be surprised if they didn't do something similar with Dante, where it's like, okay, you add in a motorcycle or something as a weapon, but
Yeah, different types of motorcycles, Harleys,
but
have
his
special abilities.
Dante's signature thing is sort of switching between different combat styles, right? Like one that's maybe more focused on like swordplay, one that's more focused on evasion, or things like that.
Sure.
That's how his combat usually has worked in the past, from DMC3 forward. So that is, I would guess that's probably what he's doing. I really think the big unknown is that third character, who's not, as far as I can tell, is not a familiar character in the series. So there's a lot more unknown about him, I think.
Or her.
I think it's him. They've shown the character. And yeah, so Nico driving around in the van. This is how you get your skills in this one, though they don't let people do it in this demo.
Do you think they had a van decorated like that at Gamescom?
I think that's probably a safe bet. Yeah.
Did they design it to be a cheaper version of the Fortnite battle bus they can bring out at events? If so, very smart.
You should write him a letter and ask.
Okay.
Yeah. So they certainly aren't, going with tamer cutscenes, I guess.
Right.
Somebody call a doctor?
And that's definitely a very Devil May Cry, ridiculous demon thing confronting you. You barely survive a truck falling on you, and
Flipping vehicle, I think
Yeah.
I've seen a lot.
but the whole wisecracking element of it, that's very much part of Devil May Cry's style.
Yeah, I skipped through this footage earlier. There's a very good wisecrack coming up that we're going to have to be polite and let him get out.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with this character?
No.
King? You?
Should also note that DMC5 is going for a little more of a realistic visual style.
I like the way it looks a lot.
Yeah. It seems like it's running pretty smooth also.
Yeah.
Like frame rate wise, but yeah, it definitely had more of like an anime aesthetic like before. That's not quite right either, but
Oh, the line was, "You look like a knuckle scrapping fart in the wind."
yeah, was that a wisecrack or is that just like a bad insult?
I think it falls under the category of wisecrack. Or quip, perhaps.
I don't know, because it doesn't seem like that required any wisdom to crack. That was just like, hey, you're a fart.
My gut reaction was, this is very wise.
Cool trick. Hey, do you do parties?
I like that monster design.
Yeah. Yeah, this seems like, they definitely are going with, have pretty good size on the boss here. I guess they've had bosses this big or bigger in the series before, but, I don't know, I guess it seems like they are making use of, like, the size and the space. It feels like, at least from watching the footage, that you're kind of maneuvering around him in a more believable way rather than just being this big chunky beast that's you're getting hung up on under its legs or something.
Yeah. I like the hovering attacks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I would take out a boss like this in real life.
Well, and in this case you'd want to use your like devil bringer to sort of it won't actually bring an enemy this big towards you, but it will sort of propel you towards it, so that's how you can get like an attack in on its head or something.
Sure.
This environmental stuff is pretty cool too, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to tell how much of it is scripted,
Yeah.
and how much of it could or could not happen throughout the fight.
Oh, so you're asking when you'd use your breakaway. That's what he just did. So he just detonated one of his arms to get out of that like big fire stream going in that guy's belly.
And he would have gotten sucked in if he didn't do that?
Yeah, yeah. I saw someone else's gameplay footage where they got sucked in and then shot out. So they still ended up out here, but, you know, they did not eat a bunch of damage in the process.
Right.
Oh, go for his head, Suriel. Oh, well.
He's trying to just knock him out. Non-lethal.
Yeah. I shouldn't criticize. We've all been at that, you know, sitting at those demo booths at E3 or other conventions where it's just like, it's your first time playing the game. You don't know exactly how it's, like how it's all working.
There's people watching over your shoulder.
Yeah, yeah. And you have limited time, right? It's like, oh, God, I got an appointment in 5 minutes. I better finish this up.
Yeah. Oh. Yes. He got the fist. I was waiting for it. So that health bar, I mean, obviously there's the boss health bar at the bottom.
Uh-huh.
But that lock-on health bar, is that new? With the circle?
No. Well, they've had... Now I'm trying to think. Am I thinking of Bayonetta instead?
Maybe.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Though, speaking of meters, though, they haven't talked about Devil Trigger at all yet. But there's clearly some sort of meter below Nero's health meter. Some empty slots. That's traditionally where Devil Trigger goes, so...
They look like bullets to me.
Well, and I'm talking about it like... Yeah, they do look like bullets. I'm talking about it like it's some big mystery. Like, will the series called Devil May Cry, which is built around the Devil Trigger mechanic, and the big song that people have seen from it is called Devil Trigger. Will it have this classic mechanic that's been in every installment?
I think it's the post-credits tease.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of post-credits teases, though, I also saw a screen online advertising that it seems like Dante will be playable at TGS.
Oh, cool.
So we'll see more of him then, I hope.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me, Joe.
Yeah.
Once again, you can read Suriel's preview on GameInformer.com right now. Thanks for watching.
Bye.